Hi guys. So a number of persons have been asking me to share the story of how my husband and I became homeowners, and so I've been wanting to do it and meaning to do it, but I've just been so busy. So I'm actually on my morning walk and I decided to give you a quick story time to see how much of the information I can give you, with the sole purpose of trying to help somebody, not for bragging. I know when you come on the internet sometimes there's just so much negativity and I can't stop that, but I'm just letting it be made clear from now that a number of persons asked, and I'm doing this video on that basis to assist as many persons as I can assist with their own journey to becoming homeowners. So in 2012, when I met my husband, wasn't my husband at the time obviously, but in 2012 when we met, we kind of just knew there was this connection and everything. And so by early 2013, so the following year, before we even got married, we got married in November. Before we even got married, we started thinking about, getting a piece of land and building a house and everything. So there was this attorney that I knew from my time at the bank. He used to come in and do business and so on. At the time I was a teller. So he came in and I said to him one day, "You don't know of anywhere selling?" So he said, "Yeah, I actually have a nice piece of land selling now. It was 3 lots and it's a 3/4 acre. It was 3 lots. I sold 2 of them already and 1 is left." So I said, "No problem." I actually got a little time off from work for him to go and show it to me. And so I called my husband and, well, my boyfriend at the time, and both of us went and we looked at it. By around September that year, we were signing off on the papers. We signed the sale agreement, we paid our deposits and everything. It was 1/4 acre, as I said, and we thought it was a nice location and everything, so we were ready to start the process. So we started in terms of paying what we needed to pay. We were still living in a rented house at the time. We could start building because we were waiting on the title. They told us it would take about 6 months. 6 months came and went, nothing happened. A year came and went, nothing happened. We were told at first that the subdivision at the parish council was not approved, and it was not approved for varying reasons. This went on for a while. At one point he said he needed the property taxes to be paid up on the land, and I don't know if you know, but the tax office goes back, I think it's 7 years, and we paid all 7-year worth of taxes on the entire piece of land. That would be the 3 acres, because we just wanted so bad to be done with it. And he said he would have given it back to us, or he would have deducted it or counted it towards the rest of money that we owed, because at the time the land was being sold for 1.35 million, so or 1.3, so we paid 750, I believe. Without stirring up too much negativity and without going too far in the story, I can just tell you that that sale never worked out. I never got the title. I ended up having to take the attorney to the GLC, or that's what I chose to do, because I felt as though it wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting any documents, nothing was happening. Another person turned up and said, They are actually the owners for the property. And so they were a family member of the person who was originally selling the place. And that family member could not sell the place. So I felt as though, boy, the attorney should have known and whatever. Because the attorney said he was buying it from, or he had bought it from the customer and was going to sell it back to me and my husband. Long and short is, none of that worked out. I decided to stop going through the GLC and everything because by this time I was having my second child. So I'm not going to go through all of that story. I'm just going to tell you that to say, be very careful when you're buying land, because I ended up having to repurchase that same piece of land from the correct owner, and that is how I ended up getting my title. Because the first person couldn't sell me the land. They had a title and everything to show, yes, but it wasn't for where I was. It was for somewhere else. Their land ended before they got to the lot where I was. So what happened now is that the person who was really selling the property, he didn't want to sell me just the part that I had bought. I had to buy the entire thing. And sometimes these things work as a blessing in disguise. So I ended up buying, well, Denver and I, we ended up buying the entire acre. I think at the time we spent $4.5 million for the acre. And we had to take like our kids' savings, every single thing. It took us everything that we had, and we had to borrow more to do it, because by this we had already started building. So now to get to the story of the building itself. So for the building itself, I got pregnant in 2016. So I called the lawyer. This is before I found out that he really didn't have anything to give me. Well, no, I got pregnant in 2015 with DJ. He was due to be born August 2016, right? So I called the attorney at the time and I said, look, I'm pregnant. I want to start my family and I don't want to. In fact, I think it was even before I got pregnant, because we had planned, and I said, I don't want to start my family and be in a rent house. I want to live in my own place. So what can you do? Because this is taking too long. Because remember, we started this conversation about the purchase from 2012. This is now 2015. This is 3 years later. So he said, okay, tell you what I'll do. I'll give you an addendum, which is basically like an additional part of the contract that said you are in possession, having paid 50%, right? So we got the letters of possession, we got letters to go to JPS and whatever. So we were in possession of the land. Based on that possession, now we decided to go ahead and start building. So we started building in 2015. And when I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant, so we moved in. We completed downstairs. We started building downstairs, which was the basement area. So this wasn't even the plan that we had sent into the parish council or anything. This was just new. This was just based on how the land was sloped. We decided to just build 3 bedrooms downstairs, 2 bathrooms, the living room, the dining area, veranda, and a little garage. So we ended up building a 3-bedroom apartment downstairs in the basement area, because we said, well, the basement don't count yet, and we don't reach so far and whatever. So we built that, and we moved in on April 9th, 2016. And I was due to have DJ the August of 2016. So of course it was a lot of work, and I had the belly, I remember us moving in. Well, before we moved in, I remember us painting. Denvi and I painted the the inside. We didn't paint outside. We painted the inside of the house ourselves, or most of it. So I remember us painting. Friends helped, and I think we had one mason who helped as well. Well, we paid him, but you know what I mean. And it was just a lot of stress building. The person who was building the place, he robbed us, he lied on us. It was a whole lot of mess, you know, but it was very stressful, extremely stressful. So I can tell anybody that if you're going to build in Jamaica, if you can get a professional contractor, if you can afford to get one, do it, because I'm telling you, I've had my fair share of troubles with contractors. One of them stole maybe around 40 sheets of ply. One of them ended up in a one piece of cuss out competition with my husband. It was messy. It's very stressful, very, very, very stressful. So I can tell you, if you're gonna do that, be careful. But in terms of how I acquired it, right? How I acquired it. I didn't have a title at the time. So what I had to do was to take unsecured loans. So we were taking like $1 million at the time. That's all we were able to get. So like we would borrow $1 million, and we would do as much as it can along with whatever savings we had or regular salaries, everything. We were just doing little by little, little by little, because we didn't have a title to go through NHT or through any bank on a secured basis. So we would borrow one loan, and when that one finished, the money finished, and our resources fully out, we would refinance that loan. So then they would borrow $1 million, I would borrow $1 million, we pay them down a little, and then we would refinance it again. And even if we can get another 200 or another 300 on it, so that is basically how we ended up building. Eventually we completed downstairs. We moved in downstairs, and we were quite happy, quite happy. But because we were so financially stressed and just so stressed overall, I said, okay, let us take a break. So then and I decided that yes, we would take a break and we would focus on raising our child and give ourselves some time to recover, because we were heavily indebted. So we would focus on give ourselves some time to recover, and then we would start for upstairs. So we came up with a 5-year plan, 5-year break to rest. So that was 2016. So we rested in 2021, 5 years time. By that, we had finished paying off all the unsecured loans, and we decided to do a home equity loan. So what we did, we got a valuation report done on the property downstairs, because by this time now, we bought the entire thing and we actually had a title now. So we decided to do a home equity loan. We got the place valued, and we provided all the documents, gave the bank the title, and we borrowed, I think it was $5 million we took at the time to start upstairs. And we got somebody and we said, this is what we have. And you know, that $5 million went so fast, so fast. That $5 million went nowhere. I don't know where it went, but all me know is we never reached nowhere. So this was about, and then COVID came. We were building during COVID. So for example, I remember the cost of the boards to do the roof. At first, like the first invoice we got was about 600 and something thousand for the boards. You see, by the time the COVID impact came on, we were thinking now of, so I don't remember, was it 2021? Yes, I think it was June 2021 we started building. No, June 2019, 2020. Deja was born in 2020. Oh, I skip a very important part of the story. While we were still fighting with the guy, because we weren't getting the title and whatever, we decided to buy another house just in case we lost this one, or if it didn't work out the way that we wanted it to work out. That is before we decided to actually buy the entire thing, because we had no intentions of buying it 2 times. So we say, you know what, maybe we just have to count with losses and move on. So in 2018 we started buying the house at Stonebrook Manor. So we started paying the mortgage for that one. Yeah, so we got that house in 2019. We started paying the mortgage for that one. I think it was June 2019. June has always been the month of new beginnings for us. So we started building upstairs at June. I remember, I think it was June 2020, because Deja was still a baby, but I'm not so sure of the dates right now. And Deja born 2019, so not so sure. However, we ended up acquiring that property, right? But we decided that when we decided to move, when we decided not to move and that we were gonna just buy the entire acre, we started renting out that property. But that is how we ended up doing our first mortgage. And I did that fully through the bank, so we didn't use our NHD benefit, which is another thing I have to warn you about. For your first house, make sure you use your NHD benefit, because the first benefit, before your name is on any title, you can get I don't know if it reached, I think it's 7.5 now. I could have gotten at the time 6.5 million to borrow. However, because my name was already on a title, I wouldn't have been able to get that. So use your benefit when you're buying the first property before your name is on any title. After you have bought it, you get less, way less. So you want to benefit from that lower interest rate. So do that for the first one. So back to the story. We ended up buying at Stonebrook because out of fear that we would have lost where we live now. After that, we decided to rent it out, and so we ended up with our first investment property. We decided now, as I said, to buy and to finish building where we live now. So upstairs was to have another 3 bedrooms, and this now would be according to the plan. As I said, we had taken one loan, $5 million. That loan went so fast, don't know where it went, so we didn't really reach anywhere. So we had to go back to the bank, because based on the value we could have gotten more. So we took another one, another home equity loan. This time I think we took about 6 million, and that came and finished again. We were trying to save a lot because we were saving up over the years as well and everything. I can tell you guys that building is expensive and it is stressful. So sometimes I see people advertising a house and people are saying, what we could have built with that. Let's say you see a house come out for $20 million and people are saying, we could have built a nice whatever with that. Maybe you could. Maybe you have the people. Maybe you have masons who are very respectful, or contractors or whatever. But I am telling you, it is not as easy as people make it out to be. So be very careful. And when you're building and you don't have the money, it is very stressful, extremely stressful. You end up not even eating sometimes, because you will take your last dollar just to get the thing moving, just to try to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because once you're building, it's like you're under obligation, you're under stress. You just can't wait. which is also why it makes sense to borrow, because if you try to do it out of pocket, things get so much more expensive, so much more quickly. With inflation, if you could have borrowed $10 million and built your house rather than waiting over a 5 or a 6 year period. When I started building in 2015, the first load of sand that I bought was 49,000 Jamaican dollars. 49,000. The first load of sand that I bought 5 years later, when we were building upstairs, was $110,000. I don't even want to imagine where it is now. So, what $5 million could have done in 2015, it cannot do in 2025. So, if you're eligible for a loan, take a loan. If you can buy a house, buy a house. The sooner you buy it, the better, because you get longer time frames. So I would have gotten more years to pay back on the first mortgage that I did than I would have gotten to pay back on the third one that I did, because the older you are, the less time you have to repay, and the more expensive the houses have gotten, which means that your payback is going to be much more significant, right? So that is pretty much how I ended up owning those two that we borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. Borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. And sometimes people see that. People see the result, but they don't see what you put in to get to the result. Nobody sees your loan balances. What they see is the end result. And some people, we think you're rich. Some people think you have money or things come easy to you. But it is about really just deciding on what it is that you want together with your partner. Both of you come to a decision. Both of you agree on it. And both of you push through on it. And I'm not saying single people can't buy. That is totally up to you. I'm just telling you what happened in our case. And it worked out for us because at least we had two incomes. So, and we both knew what we wanted. So it was easier for us to do it that way. So now the final part of the story is that having built the one where we live, so that one is now a 6-bedroom, 5-bathroom. We live upstairs, we don't use downstairs. Because mom comes and goes, mom has really been using one of the bedrooms downstairs. So we're now looking into either using it for Airbnb. We're not so comfortable with long-term rentals because, you know, it's still our space, it's still within our space. So we're looking at that. The property in Stonebrook, we normally do long-term rentals, so we rent it to like expats, persons coming into work in the hotel industry and so on. They will come in and they pay their bills and everything. We tried Airbnb with it before, but we didn't manage the time well in terms of to go and clean up after each person and all of that. And yes, there are companies that can do it, but of course you're looking at more coordinating and more fees. So since our last guest left, we have decided to Airbnb it until we get another long-term rental. And so we have somebody coming in now for about a month. So we're looking forward to that. But just to see how the Airbnb landscape is now and whether or not we can really manage it. But I did not mention to you that we own a third property and how we ended up owning that third one. So once we had completed building out the one where we live, which I would say our personal home, I said, you know, based on how it worked out with Stonebrook, I would love to own another property. And I said it to my husband and he loves real estate too, so he had no problem at all. The only challenge was that we never have no money, so he couldn't see it. So I must say, yes, that would be good, but we just can't, we just can't. No, I wouldn't be a good financial advisor if I didn't find a way. So what I did now, I looked at every single thing that we had, every single possibility that I could find to come up with the deposit for that place. So this one now was for Gore. Yes, so Gore was building a development, or is, because they're still building. I think they're sold out though. But Gore is building a development in Discovery Bay called Camelot Village. They started out with some townhouses, and then they have some other single dwelling houses, right? And 2 bedrooms. I decided that I wanted one of those. No, I didn't have any money at all. Honestly, I could not find a way. Didn't have any money. It's not like I had some money. I didn't have any money. But I decided that by the grace of God, I was going to try. I said, my God is big enough. I ended up having to take a loan to pay the deposit. But at the time, I could not get a loan from my bank because I was already over the limit for loans that I could have gotten with my bank. So I had to go to another bank. So I went to the other bank. I got a pre-approval actually. So I got a pre-approval offer and I took it. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I had to work. Like, we had to save everything we had for about like 2 or 3 months. Like, we couldn't even buy food good. Just to come up with the money for the deposit. But eventually we came up with the deposit, and I said, where there's a will, there's a way. If we can find the deposit, we'll find a way to get the mortgage. Remember, let me tell you, say, I couldn't get any more unsecured loan or anything to borrow because I was already at my max. But with the mortgages, it is different because I had a mortgage already, but I was entitled to getting a little more. And so we worked it out where we would use our NHT benefit. At this time now, we could only get 2.5 million each, but that would have been 5 million. And we would have gotten some from the bank on the staff side. And then I had to take the rest as consumer loan. So I would have to borrow it at the same rates that anybody else would borrow it from. So we do have staff rates, but you have a certain amount that you can get as a staff. So when you reach to a certain point, then you have to borrow the rest at the regular interest rate. And I was willing to do it because I just wanted to get the property and I didn't have the money any other way. So now we have 3 properties by the grace of God, and I take no glory in it for myself. We thank God for the wisdom that He gave us to work out things the way that we worked it out to be able to achieve what we have achieved so far. The other piece of property that we have, so remember the first one that we bought, it was 1/4 acre, but we ended up buying the entire acre. It is our dream to build either an apartment or something, nice and modern on that piece of land. But that's not anything that we have any money for anytime soon. We'll have some other plans in the pipeline. And every year we try to take on one major project. So it is very difficult for us to be saving towards that. That's not something we can save towards. So I'm just hoping that maybe the Lord will work out something. Maybe I get a promotion. Maybe then I get a promotion. Maybe some money come our way. I don't know. But definitely we would have to borrow to build. So don't be afraid of loans, guys. Loans are not things that harm you. You just need to be able to see your way. As long as you can pay back your loan, it makes more sense than struggling over years. Because if you can borrow and build and live in the house now, or buy the house and live in the house now and take time pay back little, why would you continue paying rent? Why would you continue living wherever you're not comfortable? It better you do that. And you gotta sit down and say, all right, you gotta take 5 years and build. That's 5 years you have to wait to go live in that place. It better you did take the loan and pay the monthly payment and go live in the house. Well, that's my perspective anyways. But guys, I don't know if I answered all the questions, because a lot of persons have been asking me a lot of questions. I don't know if I've answered everything, but I tried to remember all the things that people asked and give you all the tips that I could remember. But that is basically the long and short of it. I bought the land. I ended up paying 2 times for the land, and no, I did not get back any money. That's from the first one. Didn't get back $1. Not for the taxes I paid, not from the deposit, nothing. Didn't get back $1. But I said, you know, God, in His wisdom, He knows what He's doing. So I encouraged myself. That situation affected me so badly. That situation stressed me right out. And that is why I decided to just drop it. Because there is no way I could keep my sanity if I had to keep on dealing with that situation. So I had just dropped it. I said, you know, I'm not fighting anymore. Let the Lord have His way. If it not work out, it not work out. But God has blessed us with even more than we lost. So I'm grateful. I'm not going to hold on to what I wanted to hold on to, and in holding on I don't get to receive whatever other blessings that He had in store for me or has in store for me. So I'm almost home. So I'm just going to give you a outside view of what the house that we built look like. As I said, we built it from the ground up. From it was just trees. We do everything from clearing the land, everything. So I'll show you because I'm just a second away. So guys, this is the house, or at least a part of it. This is the house in its entirety. I've done house tours before, like on my TikTok page, so you can check those out. But this is how the house looks. It's 1 story at the top, as I said, because it's really the basement area that we built in. I'll show you how it looks from the back. So I'm just walking in real time, so you have an idea of exactly how it looks. So as we come down this driveway, you realize that it's 2 stories at the bottom. So this is where we used to live before. Max, what are you doing up there? So that is the back patio. I'm just gonna try to give you an idea of how it looks from the back. So this is how it looks from the back. So it's 2 stories because at the back to how it is sloped, but 1 at the front. So guys, any questions you have, you can just put it in the comments and I will respond. Just going to add one last thing. You have to be prepared to be heavily indebted, and you have to be okay with that. Like, you have to make peace with that. Like, you have to just know that you're going to owe a lot of money, and maybe your entire salary is going to go to loans every month, and that's okay because you are building, you're building, and that is why it's important for you to do it from you're young, so that as you go along it gets easier. Because what you will pay for your mortgage now, or what how you would feel about a monthly payment of, let us say, $100,000, in 2015, it's going to feel different. If I could get back the loan payments that I had in 2013 or 2014, I would take those back rather than new ones now. Because as you grow and as inflation and everything, your salary will get higher. Naturally, your salary will get higher. So you probably could manage, like for me, let's say now I have a loan payment for 100,000 that I'm struggling with now. Maybe 10 years down the line, me not gonna feel so hurt about $100,000 because maybe by then it don't feel, $100,000 in 10 years or even in 20 years. Because remember, we're talking about facilities that you end up having for maybe like even 40 years. It just not gonna feel as heavy. It can't feel as heavy. So the day will come when you get some reprieve. But I have no regrets. I would do it all over again, especially because of who I have been doing it with. So that's my story. As I said, that's our story. But as I said, if I left off anything, um, feel free to leave a comment and I will answer as soon as it is possible. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.